to Horses, Hope, and Hustle, the podcast where faith leads, grit drives, and the Western way of life runs deep. I'm your host, Crystal Show, wife, horsewoman, entrepreneur, and believer that God doesn't waste the hard stuff. Around here, we talk real stories, big dreams, and the kind of hustle that's rooted in hope. So pull your hat down, pour that coffee, and let's ride. When Laura Mendel moved back to Colorado, she knew she wanted to host a rodeo, something rooted in community and Western tradition. This vision led her to revive the name of the historic Colorado Stampede Rodeo and build it from the ground up. We're talking about honoring history, taking the risk, and doing the work it takes to turn an idea into a full-scale event. Let's get into it. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. I am Laura Mendel, and I am the president and CEO of the Colorado Stampede PRCA Rodeo that is located in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Love that. And you said you grew up in Colorado?
Yes, I grew up here in Mesa, Colorado. Most of my youth was spent here, and I briefly was on the Front Range going to CSU, and I moved back here a little over 3 years ago.
Very cool. Cool. And the Colorado Stampede, you said you started it up when you moved back. So is this your third year, or you have finished 3?
This will be our third year, so we've only had 2 rodeos. We started in 2024. Cool. So this is year 3, which is crazy already.
Do you feel like a pro yet, or is there still like things that pop up? You're like, oh, that didn't happen before.
No, that's still really new, and still figuring out a lot of stuff, and it just feels like we just started it yesterday. So it's kind of crazy that this is year 3 already.
Yeah. What made you want to restart the Colorado Stampede? Let's talk some about the history and then why you restarted it.
Yeah, so the Colorado Stampede was a PRCA rodeo that went on in Grand Junction from 1957 to 1994. And it was put on by the Mesa County Sheriff's Posse, which is still around today. But I think as members aged out, younger guys didn't want to take it over. It's a lot of responsibility putting a rodeo on. And it just kind of fizzled out. 94 was the last year that I know of that I can find programs for, that I can find any history about, was 94. And when I moved back to Mesa in 2023, I previously had managed the Mountain State Circuit Finals Rodeo that's in Loveland, and I managed that for 5 or 6 years. And when I moved back here, I was really missing rodeo, and I was really missing working on rodeos, and I was really missing producing them. And I did a lot of research. There was no pro rodeos going on. There's a few amateur rodeos and Colorado Pro Rodeo Association rodeos, but no PRCA rodeos here. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to budget for about 2 weeks. I'm going to see if this is something I can actually pull off. Figured it all out, put it all together. I actually only had 6 months before the rodeo even happened that I started it and put it all together and raised money for it, which was crazy. And when I was trying to figure out what to call it, I had heard all this history that there was a Colorado Stampede that happened in Grand Junction, and that was just a name that stuck, and no one else had taken that name. And so I was like, you know what, we'll just use the same name, same rodeo, same location, and then people can remember it, and it won't just be something that's brand new, because we're not exactly starting something brand new. We're just continuing history, I think. So that's how that kind of all started. And yeah.
I was going to say, as far as like the business entity in itself, was there any issues with that since it was once Colorado Stampede?
No, nobody owned the name. The Sheriff's Posse didn't own the name anymore. I did everything, through the Secretary of State. I started it as an LLC, and yeah, I've had no issues. Had this logo created by Rodeo Spot Marketing Company. They're great. And yeah, I've had no issues with the name so far. Everyone's been super happy that we were reusing that name and brought it back.
That's neat.
Yeah.
That was my
super
next
lucky.
question. Yeah. The next question was kind of how the community took that. Were they pretty excited for that to come back?
Yeah, a lot of people were really excited. There were a lot of, older folks and ranchers and stuff who remembered the rodeo from before. There were a lot of people who were here who were like, oh my gosh, I competed in that in the 80s. I'm so happy you're bringing it back. It's so cool to have it back. Yeah, a lot of people were very excited for it.
That's neat.
Mm-hmm.
When starting, because I truly don't know that much about rodeos. I was a PRCA rodeo queen in high school, but I didn't pay attention to anything. I just showed up when they told me to show up.
Yeah.
I don't remember what was happening. But is there a lot that goes into getting sanctioned with the PRCA and getting on their schedule?
Yeah, you have to. There are so many rodeos out there already. And so trying to fit where you can add in a new one, that's not really during the summer run, which is already insane. And, trying to find a location and making sure the venue has the great date, finding personnel and a stock contractor that also has a date that works. It was a lot of back and forth. It took about a month to figure out what date we were going to do. Really what I did first was I picked a stock contractor I really wanted, which was Kirsten Vold Rodeo Company. And from there, we picked a handful of dates that worked for us. And then I went to the venue, which is the Mesa County Fairgrounds. I said, what dates, which of these work? And we picked Memorial Day weekend, and that was open. And it actually worked out great. There's not a lot of other rodeos going on. Contestants aren't injured yet. Horses aren't injured yet. Everyone's feeling really good at that point and kind of ready to get the summer run going. So it really worked out perfect date-wise. And that's kind of where you get started, and then everything falls into place after that. But in regards to sanctioning with the PRCA, it's not super complicated. You just fill out a regular application like any other rodeo, make sure with them that the dates are good. But as long as you're using PRCA stock contractors, PRCA personnel, timers, secretaries, pickup men, all that stuff, and everyone's available, you really just apply, you pay your dues, and you become a member, and you're good to go.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Did you get like sponsors to have added money to the rodeo? Like I said, I don't know.
Committees are responsible for added money. So I have $36,000 added money. So I pay $4,000 per event. And I do have sponsors that help cover that cost. And then the additional added money comes from entries, which comes from the PRCA, because all contestants enter through the PRCA, through their portal, and then all of that money then gets paid out. So even though I have $36,000 added, in reality, the total payout could be between $60,000 and $80,000. It depends how many people enter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What did the marketing and stuff look like that first year, just to get people to know what was going on and get contestants to want to come enter?
For contestants, the reasons, what draws them to want to enter is added money. I think location, are they getting any awards? What's the schedule looking like? Is there anything else bigger going on? Luckily, Grand Junction has an airport, so it's pretty easy for people to fly in and out, roughies who don't have any horses. We're right off of I-70, and we're really close to Utah. It's pretty easy to navigate to and from Grand Junction. And with the added money, we don't typically get a lot of the big contestants. A lot of those people want 10,000 plus added per event. Mm-hmm. And financially, I just wasn't there, especially to start out. And so we get a lot of circuit contestants, which is great, which is Mountain State Circuit, which is Wyoming, Colorado, and then also Wilderness Circuit, which is Utah. So we get a lot of those contestants. It's super great. And it also depends if other events are going on. I know there's a big event in Utah, I think, on the Monday after our rodeo. So some people come into Grand Junction, come to our rodeo, and then just keep on going to that one, So that's just mostly logistics, I think, for contestants and added money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
Yeah.
How many people do you have employed during the rodeo, or even leading up to it? Is it
employed leading up to is me, myself, and I.
That's a lot.
And no,
For you.
I have a board, which is great, but they're all volunteers, so I don't really ask them to do a whole lot leading up to the rodeo because a lot of them work outside of this, and I appreciate every single one of them. But because they're volunteers, I don't want to force them to do anything that takes away from their jobs and their lives and their families. So I handle all the business stuff, marketing, production, catering. I handle all these things, finding all these things. The board helps a lot, but when it comes down to it, I'm the one who's finding all the sponsors, handling all the marketing, publishing content, getting content together, ticketing, the website, which I do have an amazing website gal, and stuff like that. But during the rodeo, we have dozens of volunteers that help, which is amazing. And then I'd say we have about, I don't know, between 30 and 50 staff. It depends on, how many people the stock contractor ends up bringing with them. We have the video production because we are on the Cowboy channel. So, we have 3 videographers plus all of that crew, cleaning staff, ticketing staff, catering staff. There's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
How do you stay organized in the off and on season?
I have really bad ADHD, so I'm organized in my head, but I don't know if everyone else would think I'm organized, but I keep everything on the Google Drive. I use everything in Google. It organizes itself very well. I have tons of hard drives that I save everything on. I write everything down in my phone and my reminders. I have like 3 different planners. I still am old fashioned and keep like a filing cabinet with paperwork and just organizing that way. I use my reminders app in my phone all the time to keep track of stuff. And I do use QuickBooks for like accounting and stuff like that, just to help me stay organized that way.
Yeah. I love Google Drive too. We use Google Drive.
Google is the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. And it's easy to share with like the board, and it's easy to share anything with anyone, and it's so user friendly. So Google is the best.
Shout out Google, not even sponsored.
Shout out Google.
Here you go. That's awesome.
But yeah.
How was it finding sponsors like your first year?
Finding sponsors is really hard, and it's something that you just have to do. And asking for money is the worst. I hate asking people for money, but I can't afford the rodeo otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people didn't take me seriously at first. They're like, who's this girl, who just moved back here? No one really knew who I was because I'd been gone for a while. And they're like, oh, this girl's just going to come in and put on a rodeo in 6 months. Okay, cool. But there were a lot of great organizations that did support. I think I talked to almost 400 businesses my first year.
Wow.
And I raised about $80,000 the first year in 6 months, which was amazing.
Oh my gosh, that is so impressive.
It's just a lot of hustle.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hustle. I always, it's not the right word, but I always call it harassing people. It's not harassing people, but it's just not bothering people, but what's the word I'm thinking of? Just constant keep up and reaching out and being like, hey, remember me? We talked about you sponsoring the rodeo. And a lot of sponsors are amazing. They're great to work with. A lot of people really wanted to have a pro rodeo here, which was super helpful in the beginning. There were businesses that were really supportive in the beginning that I had spoken to before I even started the rodeo, just to make sure that there were people who would support it. Mm-hmm. And this is actually a pretty big rodeo community over here. And so a lot of businesses were already supporting smaller rodeos, or, the college rodeo team here is amazing. So a lot of businesses wanted to support us on top of that. But finding sponsors is kind of hard.
Yeah. I'm with you on the asking for money thing, because I'm a business owner. Obviously, you get this too. When I have people come ask me for sponsors, I'm like, I wish I had the money to sponsor all of you. But in reality, if it doesn't benefit my business also, and so proving like, hey, this is going to be good for you too. That first year, I bet it was pretty tough.
Yeah, and trying to prove that like people will come to the rodeo and like these marketing tactics will work, and you will have good visibility at these rodeos. It's a lot to ask for people, but the crowds really turned out, and it was beneficial for everyone, so it worked out pretty well.
That's great.
Trying to come up with marketing material before the rodeo even happened was hard because I have no content to start with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So luckily, when you have no content, the PRCA will send you some to use, which is great. So like for commercials and social media and stuff, they did give some content. So that was really helpful. And then I did hire a videographer, obviously photographer the first year. So we got really good content starting after that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What kept you going that first year? Because was the first year the hardest because you were starting from scratch?
Yeah, it was really hard. And I learned a lot that first year. What kept me going was really just people were so excited that it was happening, and I had a really good support system. And I have a lot of friends who are contestants, and they all were super psyched that it was happening. And so that's really what kept me going. I was just super excited. And I was scared out of my mind that it was going to flop. Any event producer will think that in the beginning, like, oh my gosh, is this a good idea? Are people even going to come? What if the weather sucks because it's outside? Like, there's so many variables. But I was really excited for the community, and the community was really excited back. So I think that's what really kept me going. And yeah, it was fun. I love event planning. Even if it was a flop, I love planning events anyway. So,
well, that's a bonus.
Yeah.
We talk about that a lot here. Like, we have had horse trainers and all kinds. And it's like, in this industry as a whole, if you don't love it, you probably shouldn't. Just find something else, because you have to love it to continue.
We're too young to not be doing something that we love for forever. It's no longer the age of you being stuck at some corporate job that you hate for 40 years.
Absolutely.
And so it does help when you love your job or you love what you're doing. So yeah, that's helpful.
I do think that's a really neat thing in this generation too, is truly like with the internet and technology and all the things, you don't have very many excuses to not go do what you want to do. If you've got the hustle and can grind it out, like you can.
Well, there's so many free resources out there now and to help with stuff. And, social media is amazing for free marketing as a tool for small businesses. And then, Grand Junction has something called it's called the Business Incubator Center, and they have free resources to help you start businesses all the time in any industry. And so like stuff like that is super helpful as a small business owner to utilize. And this area is growing a lot. So everyone's very pro small business here and starting new businesses here and bringing stuff here. So that's been very great as a business owner.
That's awesome. You had mentioned that you'd managed other rodeos before. Had you owned other businesses prior to starting the Colorado Stampede?
No, I worked for the Larimer County Fairgrounds in Loveland, Colorado, which is called the Ranch Events Complex. And I was an event coordinator there for 5 years. And we hosted the Mountain States Circuit Finals there. So I managed it, but I didn't own it. And that was super different because I had a team of amazing people, like 30 to 50 people who were on staff who worked all the time. We had on-site catering. We had a whole sponsorship and marketing department. I didn't have to do any of that. I just focused on the rodeo management part. And so that's what's been the biggest curveball, is learning everything else and having to do everything else, which has been a lot. But it was a great start, helped me. So like the rodeo management stuff I had down. That wasn't stressful at all. It was everything else that was really stressful.
It was only everything else. Hang tight. We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. The No Booze branding mission is more than skipping a drink. It's a commitment to 1 day of sobriety in honor of those lost to suicide or alcoholism, and to support those still fighting. On branding day, you choose to stay sober for the day. Donate $5 if you can, and wear purple to show solidarity. One small act can make a real impact. Follow No Booze Branding on Facebook to support the mission and join the movement.
Yeah.
What do you think was your biggest, what was the hardest for you to begin with?
Sponsorship for sure is the hardest part. I mean, the first year of the rodeo cost, I think, about $150,000. And I raised $80,000. There was other trade partnerships that were amazing, but the rest of, ticketing paid for everything else. So yeah, just sponsorship is so hard, and just having to keep going and keep pushing and keep hustling. Sometimes you get really stuck feeling like you're not doing enough and that you're not reaching out to enough businesses, or you go storefront to storefront and you ask to speak to someone and they're like, oh, they're busy, or no one's here, or come back another time. So that's really discouraging, and just trying to keep it going is really discouraging sometimes, but they always pull through. Yeah. And you got to remind yourself that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of those things too, where you have to remember, the ones willing to work with you are usually the ones that are better to work with anyways. Like, not to be mean or anything to the ones who don't, but in the long run.
Yeah. And you want to work with people who are supportive. I'm not going to waste my time chasing after a business that very obviously doesn't want to partner with us, even though they do partner with other events, or they're a big influence in the community. And of course I would love to partner with them, but I'm not going to go chasing people who don't want to support. Yeah. Because it's just a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And your energy and everything else.
And I want to focus on businesses that do want to support. So yeah, my list now of people I've reached out to is almost 700, I think.
Holy crap. Thank you for that kick in the pants, because we're at a point where I don't know why we don't have sponsors, because we're big enough it would be beneficial, but I've always just been I don't want to ask, go figure it out. But it's okay, no, this is silly. So thank you for the motivation.
Yeah, now it's 700 something. And I've learned with sponsorship that I actually email first now. Because if I call, either someone's busy or someone who I need to talk to isn't there, or they're like, who is calling me? I don't feel like talking to you. Yeah. So I email a lot, introducing myself, telling them kind of my pitch, and being like, let's schedule a call. I'd love to talk to you about this stuff. And that kind of gives them a chance to read everything. And I send, marketing stuff and the sponsorship options, and because I have a ton of options and, random info like that. And then we go from there, which has been really great. Then I'm terrified half the time my emails go to spam, or I don't even know. So then I'll call, or then I'll go to the place. But I always try and email first, just to see how things go, feel it out.
Yeah. Did you always have a lot of different package options for your sponsors to begin with? Or did you, starting out, was it where your package is pretty, what's the word?
Straightforward.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
I've always had a lot of variety and options, just because I'm reaching out to all kinds of businesses, and some can only afford the $250 business card ad, and some can afford the $12,000 premier sponsored, So I like having variety, especially if people are taking a chance on me. It's cool if you want to spend $1,500 and the next year you want to spend $3,000, I just like having variety. I like giving people options. I don't know what businesses want all the time. I don't know what their marketing strategies are. I don't know what demographic they're always looking for, or what kind of marketing they like to do. So I'm always open to suggestions. If someone wants to modify something in one of my packages, totally fine. I will take whatever I can get.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to have variety. Yeah.
How did you decide where you were going to market that first year, and what your marketing options were going to look like?
I marketed way too broad the first year. I I marketed in the immediate area, but then I was also like marketing in Texas, and I was marketing in any city that had a direct flight to Grand Junction. And so it's like Dallas, Denver, Phoenix, Salt Lake, too many places. Because it was Memorial Day weekend. So I was like, maybe if I market early to these places, they'll come here as like a destination for a long weekend or something. That didn't really work. So now I just market to the more immediate area, and I'll market to Eastern Utah. I'll market in Wyoming. I also marketed based on where people were coming from the first year, because in my ticket sales, I can see where people are coming from. So I marketed to a lot of those areas specifically.
Very cool.
And but yeah, I learned a lot that first year.
Oh, I can imagine. That's the other part of being a business owner and doing all of this. It's not only coming up with what you're going to do, but then studying it all to see what works best moving forward.
Yep. Well, and then even just locals, deciding where to market. Do I do TV commercials? Do I do streaming commercials? Do I do just social media? Should I do a billboard? Like, there's so many options. And just trying to bring back an event that's been gone for 30 years. A lot of people who used to attend either moved or aren't around anymore, or, people are like, oh, well, but there's a rodeo during the fair. I don't need to go to this one, So it's trying to market that it's a pro rodeo, that it's 3 days. Memorial Day weekend, just trying to get it. Local knowledge took a really long time to, get it out there and stuff.
Yeah.
So that takes time as well. For any event, it takes at least 3 years to get it to grow enough that you're kind of at a solid base. So where you're sort of breaking even and you can kind of grow from there. The first 3 years are always testing years, I think. That's what I always learned.
Yeah. Somebody told me when I started, like, if you can make it to 3 years, then you can usually make it to like 7 years. And if you make it to 7, it's just getting through this first growth spurt and then the next, because then the next few years, there's other things you have to figure out.
Right. But don't ever start an event expecting that you're going to make money right away. It takes a while.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah. You always have to think about the long game.
Yeah. But, now the rodeo costs almost $200,000. The big production costs we're streaming on the Cowboy Channel, which is great for visibility for us and for sponsors, and just rodeo in general. However, the cost of that is a lot.
Oh, I believe it. I don't think people understand the cost of putting on an event, even if it's only a couple of days. When you are at that level of an event, it is not cheap.
No, it is not cheap. Last year it cost about $190,000 to put on the rodeo for a 3-day rodeo, about $190,000.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a lot. And it sometimes feels like a gamble all the time being outside.
Yeah.
Because you never know what weather's going to happen. I do hire a meteorologist for my event so that I can be prepared leading up to and know what the weather's going to look like. Yeah. So that's helpful.
That's something I never would have thought of.
I know. It's crazy.
Huh.
But yeah. But it's fun. People are like, why do you do this to yourself? I don't know. I love rodeo.
Yeah.
I competed when I was younger, and I've just learned I'm better at producing them than I ever was at competing in them, which is fine. And I just love that they bring communities together, and it's just such a fun sport to watch, and it's exhilarating, and I just love when it all comes together and seeing everybody watch. It's really fulfilling for me.
Yeah. That is awesome. That is really neat. What in the off season, is this all you do full time?
No.
No, yeah, that's you.
No, my mom does real estate, and so I help her with real estate stuff. And then I'm in the process of building and opening a pet resort at my property. So that's like boarding and daycare for dogs, cats. I'll do horses as well, when people go out of town and stuff. Yeah. I do a lot of stuff. But because I have ADHD, my brain is fine with it all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, way to take advantage of that.
Yeah. But in the off season, a lot of the times I'm just communicating with sponsors, finding more sponsors. Sponsors takes up probably the majority of my time in regards to the rodeo. Like I've said, since I did rodeo production for a few years prior, that part is pretty easy for me, getting it scheduled, getting people hired. That's not very difficult. I like using a lot of the same staff, a lot of the same contract personnel. This year threw me for a bit of a loop because our stock contractor, Kirsten Vold, retired. So then I had to find a new stock contractor. So trying to find one that I like, that availability, pricing, that's pretty difficult, but I found one, so that'll be good. And we went with Summit Pro Rodeo this year, and they're out of Wyoming. And so it's just logistics aren't so difficult for me. It's raising the money and marketing is the hardest for sure. Yeah. Find a new stock contractor. So trying to find one that I like, that availability, pricing, that's pretty difficult, but I found one, so that'll be good. And we went with Summit Pro Rodeo this year, and they're out of Wyoming. And so it's just logistics aren't so difficult for me. It's raising the money and marketing is the hardest for sure. Yeah.
Well, sounds like you're gaining though.
Yeah. And we try to do a lot for the community in the off season, like I'll do donations for fundraisers, I'll give people tickets as silent auction items if they want. It helps kind of get the word about the rodeo out there during the off season. So
Very
that
cool.
happens a lot.
Yeah. That's cool. So what else do you like to do outside of business stuff?
Well, I love animals. My husband and I have 4 horses, and so we ride a lot, and we ski, we go fly fishing, we go hiking. The Grand Mesa that I live right next to is the biggest flat top mountain in the world, and there's over 300 lakes up there. So there's a lot of trails. We ride up there a lot. We fish, skiing. We travel a lot. I've been to 48 different countries, so my whole family just travels all the time. And so I normally do a big trip every year. We were just in northern Norway this summer, sailing in the Arctic Circle. So that was really cool. And I read a lot as well. So that's about it.
Cool. About it. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. And I have dogs and a cat, and just always surrounded by animals all the time.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Love that. What are some of your goals moving forward with like the Colorado Stampede and everything?
It would be nice, just in general. It would be nice to have, I have a very solid group of sponsors that I think will sponsor every year. It'd be nice to have a solid group that at least will cover the majority of the rodeo every year, so I don't have to spend quite so much time looking for sponsors. That's the goal, which I think it'll take a while to get there, which is fine. And growing a solid spectator base has been a huge goal. There are always people who will support rodeo no matter what, so they will always come. But exposing rodeo to more families, maybe younger generations who didn't grow up in rodeo or didn't grow up in the Western industry, and seeing that it's really fun, family-friendly entertainment that you don't have to pay a lot to go to experience. And, you're not sitting at home looking at a screen. You don't have to worry about kids seeing something that's, I don't even know where I was going with that. I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. But it's just very good, family-friendly fun. And having such a great community to have the event in has been awesome. And, growing that has always been a goal. And just being a solid community event for generations to come is a goal. I love seeing that, not National Western just had their 120th anniversary. All these huge rodeos are coming up on major milestones, and it'd be great to see the Colorado Stampede get there at some point.
Yeah. If you own a business and you're looking for a better way to reach people who actually listen, we should talk. Horses Hope and Hustle partners with brands that believe in hard work, honesty, and showing up. Let your business be heard by our listeners through authentic, story-driven sponsorships. Contact us today for more info. How many spectators do you normally have now or over your first 3 years?
You can seat about 3,500 people per performance. So, I think we just hit around 5,000 attendees. That's just spectators. That's just people buying tickets, this last year. And it grew over 1,000 from the year before. So just seeing that growth each year will be great. However, we did have around 8,000 people there throughout the whole weekend, including contestants, their families, vendors, spectators. You know, we also host a 4-H jackpot that goes on at the same time. So people attending that as well. So it's not a lot of people, but it'll grow.
Yeah. That's, I mean, I
it's a lot of people, but we can get more people. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say if you think 8,000 people just sitting here, like, holy cow, that is a lot of people. But I understand for a big event, you want more. Yeah.
But then also last year was our first year on the Cowboy Channel. So that's really cool because now it's nationwide, which is great.
That's very
But we had people that came from all over. We had people that came from Europe. I remember the first year we had a gal who lived in Denver, but her parents lived in Ireland and they were visiting and they wanted to go to a rodeo. So they drove from Denver to Grand Junction and just came to the rodeo.
Oh, wow.
Which is so cool. I love that. Yeah. So it's fun, showing the world rodeo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What has been one of your favorite moments so far with putting on the rodeo?
We do something called a boot race at the rodeo. I'm just gonna side note. Everyone asked me to do mutton busting, and I refuse to do mutton busting. I don't know where to find sheep, and I don't have the equipment, and it takes a lot of time. So we do something instead called a boot race, and we call all the kids from the stands to come down to the arena, and they all come inside. And we have them divided in age groups, and they all take one shoe off and they put it in a pile and then go to the other end of the arena. And then it's a race to see who runs and can find their shoe first. And it's so funny. I love it so much. And they have such a blast, and we have queens that help and the clown, and the bullfighters will be out there helping them. And it's just the cutest thing ever. Oh. And it's at no cost to anybody. And there's no liability. It's my favorite thing to watch. It's really cute.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
During the rodeo, do you get to watch very much of it, or are you pretty busy jumping around, making sure everything's flowing?
I'm usually running around. Sometimes I'll have a moment where I can watch, but usually I'm running around. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I never have been able to just sit and watch a full rodeo before. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Especially even if I am sitting and I'll be watching and I'll notice something and I'll be like, oh, I gotta go deal with this. So yeah, I just can't. Even though no one else in the audience would notice ever.
Yeah.
There's always something you gotta work on there, which is fine.
Yeah.
I just eventually we'll get to a point where everything is running so smooth that I won't have to be doing that, even though I probably will anyway. But
yeah.
It's okay.
I feel like when you are leading it and you've made this, it is hard to just sit back and be like, okay, I'm going to let everything work now.
Yeah. And eventually, someday, another goal is to be able to have hired staff, right? So hire someone who could manage all the ticketing, hire someone who could manage all the marketing. Hire someone who can answer a telephone in an office that doesn't go to my cell phone, That's also a huge goal. But then I will be able to sit and watch the rodeo.
There you go. There you go. That's a whole thing of its own, getting to a point where you can afford the employees to step in and do that.
Yeah.
So you can take
I am
a
not
step
there
back.
yet, so it'll be a minute. But it'll be great whenever that day comes.
I understand that. I had to start. I've always had some part-time employees, and I have one. She's getting closer to full-time, but it's like I have so much work. I need the help, but also the finance end on of it doesn't always add up. So
No.
it was tricky.
No, and I want to be at a place financially where like I am very solid. I don't want to hire someone and then be like, oh shit, how am I going to pay for this? I want to get to a very solid foundation of, I guess, money in the bank or savings or whatever, and then I'll hire someone, you know. For now, I can manage it. It's okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. I was going to say something. I totally forgot what it was.
Oh, that happens to me all the time. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about Google. The first year I used my personal cell phone for everything, and I had it on the website and for the help, you know, for people to call for ticketing help, all that stuff. Worst idea ever. My phone rang nonstop during the rodeo, and it was terrible. So I created a Google Voice number for like the office number and changed everything. It was great.
That is a good tip. I've been looking into that because people will call like the most ridiculous hours too. That's what always baffles me. I'm like, it's 10:30 at night. Why are you calling me?
But it's great because then I can have like a specific voicemail for that phone number. That's not my personal phone number. And I don't want people to have my personal phone number, you know? And so it's very helpful to have a Google Voice number. It's shout out Google.
Shout out Google. Once again, not even paid sponsor.
Please sponsor us.
Yeah. That's going to be my first cold call, Google.
That's the other thing that's so hard is trying to figure out who to talk to at these big companies is so freaking hard. And then trying to get a hold of them is so hard.
I can only imagine how many requests they get. That's what I always...
I know. That's nuts. And then trying to make yourself stand out also crazy.
Yes. There's just so much that goes into being a business owner.
Yeah. So much into being a business owner, being an event producer, managing everything, trying to find funding for everything. It's a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
What are a couple tips you would give somebody that was looking to start an event? Not even just rodeo, just they were kind of wanting to start an event.
My biggest tip, and something that I think Kirsten taught me, which I totally agreed with in the beginning, was like, if you can't afford it essentially on your own, or if you're not sure you can afford it, don't start until you can. Or like have tools that you know you can utilize in order to afford it. Like I had enough savings saved up that I knew with ticketing I would be good the first year. You know, sponsorship helped with everything. I don't want to dip into my life savings to put an event on, but I knew I could just in case, you know.
Yeah.
And you got to be sure you can manage it all because it's a lot to handle. And if you're not good at multitasking, if you can't do multiple things at once, if you can't be in multiple conversations, if you don't know how to write contracts, if you don't know how to do invoicing, like these are all things you need to learn just in business, you know? And, but yeah, if you don't, that was my biggest thing is if you can't afford the rodeo before it starts, it's not going to work or an event. Because an event could happen. The weather could be shit and you don't get the ticket sales you need, or you're going to have to cancel, but you owe all this money anyway. So just make sure you're good before starting anything is my biggest tip. And then not being discouraged when people say no. You know, it's not you, it's them. Don't take it personally. Which is really hard not to take it personally. I was so upset the first few sponsors that told me no, or the first few businesses that told me no when I approached them for sponsorship. And it makes you feel like you're not good enough, or like your event isn't going to be good enough, but it is. And that just kind of fueled the fire to prove them wrong, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And that kept me going a lot of the time. So don't be discouraged, because you will be discouraged at some point. And it's okay to feel that way, but just don't let it stop you from what you're doing.
Yes.
Or to not keep going, I guess. And just have fun. If you're hating everything and you're hating the whole process and you just don't like it, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not worthwhile.
Yep.
Yeah. Find something else. No, I'm just kidding. Just try to make it fun.
Yeah. Well, again, back to even just like wasting your energy and time on it if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah.
There's no sense in it.
Yeah. And make sure you have a really good support system as well. My board members are amazing. They're all super supportive. They all help where they can. And I love every single one of them for it. My husband is super supportive. My mom has been very supportive. You know, just make sure you have a really solid support system, because you will break down at some point because of the stress. And it's really good that they help lift you back up.
Yeah, absolutely. Your circle matters more than I think we ever realize, because if there's anyone in there doubting it, your self-doubt is going to be magnified 100 times.
100%. So just, you know, having a really good support system, but also having a really knowledgeable support system. Like a lot of my board members are all super business savvy. They lived in the area for a really long time, and they all have their own businesses that work well with this one. And just having good connections is really helpful. But yeah, just good support system, making sure your finances are good and that you're happy with what you're doing. You should be good to go.
Yeah. A little bit.
Yeah.
What are the dates for the Colorado Stampede this year?
The Colorado Stampede is always Memorial Day weekend. So this year it's May 22nd, 23rd, and 24th.
Perfect. Well, awesome.
Yeah. It's been really good. The biggest struggle with that date now, there used to be no other rodeos going on at the same time, which was amazing. But now the American in Texas just moved to that same weekend. So we'll see how that goes this year.
Is this the first year that it's moved to that same weekend?
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. I don't really think it will impact us attendance-wise, but contestant-wise, we will see.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous about that. But well, it should be good still.
Yeah.
But I did lose a few contract personnel to the American because of their contract obligations with them, and they obviously pay them a lot more than I do, so I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Yeah. But it's all
very
good.
Cool. Well, we talked about the struggles, the real side of it, the attendance, vendors. Are all your vendor spots full?
No, we just opened up vendor applications this week. Or no. Yeah, this week. So, but that normally does pretty well.
Yeah. How many vendors do you have? Or
I think we had like 15 to 20.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. It's been good. And then this year we're doing something new. There's a different concession situation. So now we're doing more food trucks instead of like a concessionaire situation. So that'll be good. I have one other tip, and it's something I learned this year. I was just thinking about the concessionaire was cash only previously. So with ticketing, I always allowed payment of cash at the gate. Just because since she's cash only, it made sense just to also allow people to pay cash. Especially older generations still really like paying cash, which is fine. Make sure you either have a very trustworthy person handling your cash or additional security or cameras, because I had between $5,000 and $8,000 stolen from ticketing this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't know how much for sure. And the sheriff's have all the info and whoever, I don't know. We still don't know who stole it, but just be careful. Lesson learned there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to see, since it's a different concessionaire, maybe not doing cash, if that'll save me something. But then will people complain that I don't have cash? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Always
Some of those you just have to try it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also make sure you have really good liability insurance.
That is a good one. A must.
Like I didn't have theft protection on mine, so I'm going to be adding that in the future. Things you learn along the way.
Mm-hmm. Do you just have like a list of things that you have learned every year of like, this needs to get better or we need to change this?
Yeah, I make a lot of notes all the time, and I have ongoing notes in my phone, and I'll put reminders of like, don't do this.
That's awesome.
And I'll set it for like a specific date so I just remember not to do something. So a lot of my reminders are set for April and May of every year, just so that I remember not to do something, because I forget stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many moving parts. It's easy to forget the little stuff.
It's a lot, but it's good.
Yeah. I love it.
Never bored.
I feel that. Charlotte and I have these conversations all the time. Like, people that are entrepreneurs, I think our brains are all wired a little bit different, because I can't sit still. I'm like, I have to be doing something, or I
can sit still sometimes, but my brain always has to be doing something. But and shout out Charlotte.
Love Charlotte.
Love Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte.
Yeah. She gets mentioned in like so many of my podcasts because she is just obviously a fantastic human, but we're in essentially the same industry. And I love talking about your circle. She's one that she gets it. So I can call her like freaking out, be like, oh my God, like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, well, this is what I would try, but just keep trying no matter what. Yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Charlotte and I are always texting about stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, good example of a good circle.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was something that I struggled with when I first got started. I didn't have a lot of friends and like people around me that were doing the same thing, or even like, building a business from scratch, because it's not easy when you start from scratch. And sometimes it was like, I don't need to hear you say, I don't need to hear your doubt, because I already have my own doubt.
Yeah. No, and finding a solid group takes time too, and you'll start with a group and learn some people maybe aren't helpful, or some, you missed someone who was super helpful, or I don't know. It takes time. All of it just takes time. So just having the patience that knowing things will work out eventually is helpful.
Yes. And for me, it's the little wins. It's like, if you can just like capitalize on little wins to keep you going.
For sure. Those feed helpful. Your soul.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Well, cool. If people want to follow the Colorado Stampede, we actually have a lot of Colorado listeners and followers.
Really? That's cool.
I don't know why. I mean, we didn't do that on purpose. But if they want to follow you, what are socials, websites?
Everything is Colorado Stampede Rodeo. So it's coloradostampederodeo.com. And I think our socials are all just Colorado Stampede Rodeo. There was like some Colorado Stampede flag football team or something. So everything that was just Colorado Stampede was taken. So everything is Colorado Stampede Rodeo.
Perfect clarity.
And we're on, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, all those things.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you so much for having me. This is my second podcast ever. And when I'm nervous, I babble. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be on here and get the word out, and, just helping people, and, it's great. And I love the horse industry most of the time. So it's been good.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I just love like-minded people in the industry, you know, that start from scratch, are willing to share their story and just give other people some inspiration to go do it and realize not every day is butterfly and rainbows, but it is worth it in the end.
It is worth it in the end. Yeah, you just have to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, I don't feel like we babbled that much. So
we didn't. I was actually pretty good today. Sometimes when I'm like really nervous, I just go on. But you led a great conversation, so we're good.
Well, I'm glad it wasn't too scary. I always, I don't know. I did like public speaking in high school, and I'm not gonna lie. When I first started doing like the podcast and videos, like it was hard. But now I'm just like, it's just like a phone call. Like I love it. I'm like, can I do an interview like every day? Can I just like be a professional podcaster?
This is fine, but like public speaking is terrifying to me. And my family is excellent at public speaking, and I am terrible at public speaking. And so this is much better.
Yeah.
So,
I love the video.
You just can't think about how many people could listen to this at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. You just that's minor details. Well, wait till somebody comes up to you. I had a friend in Texas do an interview with me, and she was at I think it was State Fair at the Cow Horse Show at State Fair in Pueblo. And I guess somebody like went up to her and was like, "Oh my God, are you Stephanie? I listened to your podcast on Crystal's podcast." And she's like, "Thanks." Like, what? That's wild. So you never know.
Yeah, you never know. It's kind of funny. It is crazy.
All good. Pretty very. Well, thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it.
Best of luck this year.
I think I'm going to see you in April.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you at Charlotte's thing.
Yeah.
Women of the West.
Colorado Horse Sale. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'll be good to officially meet you in person.
Yes, it will.
So awesome. Well, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was great. And I'll talk to you again sometime, I'm sure.
Yeah. That sounds awesome. Thanks
you. Thanks everyone listening.
Oh yeah, shout out listeners.
Thanks. Please sponsor us, Google.
Yeah. Shout out at Google. Oh, I love it.
That's funny.
That's fantastic. Thanks for riding along with me on Horses, Hope, and Hustle. If you found even a little bit of inspiration or grit here today, share it with a friend, leave a review, or tag us on socials, and keep showing up for what truly matters. Until next time, stay true, stay tough, and keep hustling.